In Asterisk Romance of the Three Kingdoms Asterisk, Lu Bu was invincible and unmatched in combat. At Hulao Gate, he fought against Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei. He engaged in a series of one-on-one duels with 6 of Cao Cao's generals without showing any signs of defeat. He was regarded as the pinnacle of renowned generals. But was the real Lu Bu in history as overwhelmingly powerful as his legend? Today, let's take a look at the actual combat prowess of Lu Bu, the mightiest warrior of the Three Kingdoms. During the chaotic times of the Three Kingdoms, first came onto the scene around the year 187 AD. That year, Ding Yuan, the inspector of Bing province, discovered Lu Bu's exceptional martial skills. He performed many heroic deeds. Thus, Ding Yuan appointed him as one of his top subordinates. He even adopted Lu Bu as his foster son. This shows that, as a warrior, Lu Bu's combat prowess was at least above average. Later, Lu Bu betrayed Ding Yuan and defected to Dong Zhuo. He became Dong Zhuo's adopted son as well. This is why in Asterisk Romance of the Three Kingdoms Asterisk, Zhang Fei calls Lu Bu the slave of 3 surnames. However, the famous scene of the 3 brothers, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei fighting Lu Bu during the campaign against Dong Zhuo is purely fictional. When Yuan Shao launched the campaign against Dong Zhuo, the 3 brothers were still working under Gongsun Zan, and Gongsun Zan didn't even participate in the campaign against Dong Zhuo. However, Dong Zhuo wasn't killed by Yuan Shao's coalition forces. Instead, in 192 AD, he was overthrown by Lu Bu with Dong Zhuo's death. The central government was left leaderless. It was Lu Bu's chance to seize power. Unfortunately, Lu Bu lacked political skill. He couldn't win people's hearts. Nor could he keep Dong Zhuo's old forces under control. As a result, Li Ju and Guo Si took advantage of the situation to capture the capital. Nevertheless, in the chaos caused by Li Ju and Guo Si, Lu Bu's martial prowess managed to restore his reputation. According to records, Lu Bu once dueled with Guo Si. And during the fight, he speared Guo Si. Guo Si was saved by his surrounding troops, barely escaping death. However, in this battle, the difference in numbers was too great. Although Lu Bu was brave, Two Fists couldn't fight for hands. In the end, he was defeated. After his defeat, Lu Bu had no choice but to pack up and leave the capital. Using the credit for killing Dong Zhuo, he joined Yuan Shao's faction to survive. In the year 193 AD, Lu Bu once again proved himself in Yuan Shao's battle against Zhang Yan of the Black Mountain Army. This time, Lu Bu's performance was nothing short of godlike. The Black Mountain Army had over 10,000 elite troops, including several thousand cavalry, with just a few dozen men, dared to charge into the Black Mountain Army's camp. Moreover, every time he went into battle, he would take the head of a Black Mountain Army soldier. After more than 10 days, the Black Mountain Army's morale was low, and they suffered heavy losses. Their leader Zhang Yan had no choice but to call off the attack. With just a few dozen men against 10,000, Lu Bu still managed to kill his enemy to retreat. Lu Bu truly had the strength to stand against 10,000 men alone. But was Lu Bu really the pinnacle of military strength in the Three Kingdoms? And what about the story in Asterisk Romance of the Three Kingdoms Asterisk, where he fought a round-robin battle against 6 of Cao Cao's generals? Is that true or false? To figure this out, we have to look at the Battle of Puyang in the year 194 AD. In the Battle of Puyang, Lu Bu held firm in the city of Puyang, while also establishing a camp 40 to 50 li, about 16 to 25 miles, west of the city. Cao Cao took the opportunity to launch a night raid on this camp. As the raid ended, but before Cao Cao could withdraw, Lu Bu personally led his forces to the scene. At that time, the one who faced Lu Bu and bought time for Cao Cao's retreat was the renowned general Dian Wei. Dian Wei, with just a few dozen men, held Lu Bu off. After a fierce battle, Lu Bu was forced to retreat. This gave Cao Cao the chance to withdraw his troops. In this battle, Dian Wei fought Lu Bu without being at a disadvantage. This shows that, on the ranking of famed generals of the Three Kingdoms, Lu Bu wasn't at the very top. As for the scene in Asterisk Romance of the Three Kingdoms Asterisk, where 6 of Cao Cao's generals, Dian Wei, Xiahou Dun, and others has surrounded Lu Bu, but couldn't deplete his health bar. That's purely artistic creation by Mr. Luo Guanzhong. In reality, Lu Bu struggled just to fight against a single Dian Wei. However, the famous scene in Romance of the Three Kingdoms where Lu Bu frightened Ji Ling's army at Hulao Gate with a single arrow shot did actually happen. In the year 196 AD, Ji Ling, on orders from Yuan Shu, led 30.000 soldiers to attack Liu Bei. Lu Bu, upon receiving Liu Bei's request for help, led 1.000 men to the Zipei region to provide assistance. Then, Lu Bu and Ji Ling agreed to meet for a drink. At the banquet, Lu Bu ordered his soldiers to erect a halberd at the entrance. He said to Ji Ling, "If I hit the small blade on the halberd, the armies must withdraw. If not, they could stay and continue the battle." It was essentially a wager. In other words, if Lu Bu hit the small blade on the halberd, Ji Ling and Liu Bei would cease fighting. As expected, Lu Bu hit the mark with one shot. Impressed by his skill, Ji Ling withdrew his forces. They no longer dared to act recklessly. However, unlike in Romance of the Three Kingdoms in history, Lu Bu didn't shoot the arrow from 120 paces away. Also, Ji Ling's army only consisted of 30.000 not troops, 100.000. This shows that Lu Bu certainly had the courage to face many foes alone. But claiming that he was the pinnacle of all generals in the Three Kingdoms is somewhat exaggerated. He was known as the 9.000-year-old of just the Ming Dynasty. 1,000 years, short of the emperor's title of 10.000 years. He couldn't even recognize a single character, yet he made the entire court only acknowledge the 9.000-year-old and forget about the emperor, bringing disaster to the Donglin party. He built shrines in his honor all over the country, and turned the imperial court into a chaotic mess. He pressed the pedal to the floor as the dynasty spiraled downhill. So how did Wei Zhongxian gain such overwhelming power? And how did he bring about his own downfall? In this video, we will delve into the life of Wei Zhongxian, the most notorious eunuch of the Ming Dynasty. Wei Zhongxian's real name is unknown. He was born in Suning, Kangju, Hebei. In his early years, he was a local hooligan and rogue. During the Wanli era of the Ming Dynasty, Wei Zhongxian castrated himself after losing in a gambling match with a group of thugs. He then changed his name to Li Jinzhong and entered the palace as a eunuch. To achieve success, you must first castrate yourself. In wuxia novels, Ming Dynasty eunuchs are often portrayed as major villains. They are highly skilled in martial arts, persecute the loyal, and cover the sky with one hand. But novels are, after all, just fiction. In reality, Ming Dynasty eunuchs were not martial arts masters. However, their authority wasn't diminished in the slightest because of this. And Wei Zhongxian was the ultimate embodiment of a Ming Dynasty eunuch. Wei Zhongxian was inherently sly and cunning. Soon after entering the palace, he found himself a job that seemed to have great prospects. He became the attendant to Lady Wang, the birth mother of Zhu Yuxiao, the crown prince. Zhu Yuxiao would later become the Tianqi emperor. His father, Zhu Changluo, was not favored by the emperor Wanli. And Zhu Yuxiao, as the eldest grandson of the emperor, was also coldly treated. After his birth mother, Lady Wang, passed away, Zhu Yuxiao was left in a situation where neither his father nor his stepmother cared for him. In Zhu Yuxiao's eyes, only his wet nurse Lady Ke and Li Jinzhong Wei Zhongxian provided him with family warmth. It is worth noting that, after Zhu Yuxiao ascended the throne, there was a love triangle between Wei Zhongxian and Lady Ke's former husband, Wei Chao. The two would argue loudly in the palace at midnight. This commotion alarmed Zhu Yuxiao, but instead of getting angry, Zhu Yuxiao asked Lady Ke whom she would choose to keep. Lady Ke chose to keep Wei Zhongxian. In the end, Wei Chao was exiled to Fingyang by Wei Zhongxian and died there, all due to Zhu Yuxiao. This shows how indulgent Zhu Yuxiao was toward Lady Ke and Wei Zhongxian. In 1620 AD, Emperor Wanli, who had reigned for 48 years, passed away. The crown prince Zhu Changluo ascended the throne, becoming Emperor Guangzong of Ming. But unexpectedly, Zhu Changluo passed away before he could even warm the dragon throne, becoming the shortest reigning emperor in Ming Dynasty history. At the age of 15, Zhu Yuxiao ascended the throne, becoming Emperor Tianqi. With his rise, Wei Zhongxian and Lady Ke also prospered. Upon Emperor Tianqi's accession, he rewarded their families generously, and even promoted Wei Zhongxian beyond normal protocol into the Directorate of Ceremonial. Among the 24 eunuch offices of the Ming Dynasty, the Directorate of Ceremonial was the most prestigious. The Directorate of Ceremonial was responsible for assisting the emperor in handling memorials, which required literacy and comprehension. One needed to be able to write and understand documents. Couldn't read a single character, yet Emperor Tianqi still promoted him to the Directorate of Ceremonial. At the time, the chief eunuch of the Directorate was Wang An, a man of integrity, who had been promoted by Emperor Guangzong. Wei Zhongxian both respected and feared him, but he was eager to remove him. After Wang An's death, Wei Zhongxian and Lady Ke conspired to have him killed. From that point on, they held absolute power in the palace. Emperor Tianqi loved woodworking, so Wei Zhongxian and Lady Ke would bring up state matters while he was busy with his carpentry. Naturally, Emperor Tianqi found this bothersome, and told Wei Zhongxian to handle things as he saw fit. And so, over time, Wei Zhongxian seized complete power. The court officials all knew that it was Wei Zhongxian who truly ruled the Ming Dynasty. People began to respectfully call him the 9.000-year-old. Just 1,000 years short of the emperor's title of 10.000. He was truly the most powerful man under the emperor. Wei Zhongxian's relatives and associates also prospered along with him. Some sycophants, in order to gain favor with the 9.000-year-old, even built temples in his honor across the country. For a time, the entire Ming court and country were plunged into chaos because of Wei Zhongxian. The Donglin party, seeing themselves as pure, refused to cooperate with Wei Zhongxian. They were brutally suppressed by Wei Zhongxian. Factional strife in the late Ming Dynasty was already fierce. Under Wei Zhongxian's rule, political persecution reached a shocking and insane level. In 1624, Yang Lian submitted a memorial to Emperor Tianqi, accusing Wei Zhongxian of 24 major crimes. The attack was fierce. This immediately threw Wei Zhongxian into panic. However, Lady Ke whispered in the emperor's ear, and the young emperor listened to his wet nurse's every word. Wei Zhongxian easily escaped punishment. Instead, Yang Lian was scolded by Emperor Tianqi. Soon after, Yang Lian and his colleagues were dismissed from office and became commoners. In the face of Wei Zhongxian's persecution, the Donglin party had no power to fight back. The cabinet was controlled by the eunuch faction. Wei Zhongxian's authority was overwhelming. At court, only the 9.000-year-old and the 10.000-year-old opponents like Dong Zhao were beaten to death in court by Wei Zhongxian. To persecute the Donglin party, the eunuch faction, inspired by watermark a list of 108 Donglin party members, as if they were characters from the novel. They used this list to carry out a purge. In 1625, Yang Lian, Zhuo Guangdu, Wei Dazhong, Yuan Huazhong, Zhou Keirui, Gu Dazhang, and others were thrown into the Jinyue prison. At the Northern Guard headquarters, they endured severe torture. In the end, they all died tragically in prison. After the case of the 6 gentlemen, there came the case of the 7 gentlemen. The eunuch Li Shishang from Hangzhou Weaving Bureau filed a report accusing Emperor Huang Zunsu. Wei Zhongxian immediately ordered their arrest. When one of the 7 gentlemen, Zhou Shengcheng, was arrested in Hangzhou, the public was furious. 5 people stood up to resist the eunuch faction, but they were killed by the faction. After the fall of the eunuch faction, the writer Zhang Piyu wrote a commemorative inscription for the 5 martyrs. Among the 7, Gao Panlong committed suicide before his arrest. The remaining 6 died in prison. In stark contrast to the political struggles at court was the worsening situation in Liaodong. Wei Zhongxian, who couldn't read a single word, appointed people purely based on his personal preferences. Those who pleased him were given important positions, and those who didn't submit to him were either dismissed or even persecuted to death. In the second year of the Tianqi was lost, Shang Tingbi was made the scapegoat and sentenced to death. Afterward, Sun Chengzong took over the task of recovering the lost territory. He rebuilt and strengthened the defenses, temporarily easing the crisis. However, because he refused to align with Wei Zhongxian, he was eventually sidelined by the eunuch faction. He had to leave Liaodong. In the 6th year of the Qianqi reign, Yuan Chonghuan defeated Narachi. But he too was eventually pushed out by Wei Zhongxian. Starting in the 7th year of the Qianqi reign, the uprisings in the northwest grew worse, spreading like wildfire. The Ming dynasty, which had prospered for 250 years, was now in decline, and Wei Zhongxian's role was to slam on the accelerator as the dynasty went downhill. However, no matter how powerful Wei Zhongxian became, and no matter how loudly the 9.000 he still had a master he couldn't disobey. That master was Emperor Tianqi, Zhu Yuxiao. All of Wei Zhongxian's power came from the trust of Emperor Tianqi. To maintain control over the emperor, Wei Zhongxian and Lady Ke even persecuted the emperor's concubines. They constantly slandered Empress Zhang in front of the emperor, and banished concubine Zhang and consort Li, who had once offended Wei Zhongxian, to the cold palace. They cut off Zhang's food supply, and she starved to death. Consort Li survived by hiding food in the cracks of the walls beforehand. In the end, she survived, but was reduced to serving as a maid by Lady Ke, sweeping the palace. Wei Zhongxian and the Ke clan dominated the harem. They wanted Tianqi to favor women from the Song Qinggong family, to control the future imperial temple through this. However, all of Tianqi's children died young. None of them survived. His only close relative was his half-brother, Prince Din, Zhou Yuji. In the year 1627, Tianqi fell seriously ill. Wei Zhongxian wanted a pregnant woman to enter the palace to persuade Tianqi to make her empress, to continue controlling the court after his death. Empress Zhang secretly summoned Prince Din to the palace, to persuade Tianqi to follow the ancestral instructions and let Prince Din succeed the throne. Tianqi entrusted Prince Din with the imperial mandate to be as virtuous as Yao and Shan. No matter how powerful Wei Zhongxian was, he couldn't override the ancestral rules set by Zhu Yuanzhang. 2 days later, Emperor Tianqi passed away. Prince Din ascended the throne as Emperor Chongzhen and changed the era name to Chongzhen. Wei Zhongxian's good days finally came to an end. As soon as Emperor Chongzhen ascended, he began to purge the eunuch faction. He demoted the Ke clan to the laundry department, and had them beaten to death. Wei Zhongxian was exiled, and hanged himself en route to exile. Why did Emperor Taizong of Tang employ Wei Zheng, a subordinate of Li Jiancheng, as the top minister of the Tang dynasty? He was always passively changing masters. Li Mi asked him to be a strategist. When Li Mi was defeated, Li Jiancheng asked him to serve. After Li Jiancheng's tragic death at the Zhuanwu Gate, Li Shimin Emperor Taizong and he became the model for future wise rulers and virtuous ministers. But why did Emperor Taizong tear down Wei Zheng's tombstone just a few months after his death? Was this legendary relationship between ruler and minister truly sincere, or just a performance? In this video, we will explore Wei Zheng's life in chronological order. Wei Zheng's life can roughly be divided into 5 stages. Before the age of 38, Wei Zheng's family fell into decline after his father's death, and his life became difficult. However, the ambitious Wei Zheng had a great love for reading. He even became a Taoist monk for a time. At 38, Wei Zheng served under Li Mi, finding his first master. At 39, Wei Zheng joined the Tang army, but was later captured by Dou Zhandi and served him. From ages 42 to 46, Wei Zheng served under Crown Prince Li Jiancheng. After the age of 47, Wei Zheng was employed by Emperor Taizong. It could be said that throughout his life, Wei Zheng passively changed masters. In the final years of the Sui dynasty, in chaos. Peasant uprisings surged across the land. Among them, the Washington Gang stronghold was the most powerful. After half a lifetime of hardship, Wei Zheng finally saw an opportunity to realize his ambitions. In the year he turned 38, Wei Zheng, in response to Li Mi's summons, joined the Washington Gang army. He was responsible for drafting documents and writings for Li Mi. During this time, Wei Zheng proposed several strategies to Li Mi, but none were adopted. Li Mi appreciated Wei Zheng's literary talent, but did not value his strategies. Over time, Wei Zheng gradually had thoughts of leaving Li Mi. However, before Wei Zheng could leave, Li Mi himself was defeated by Wang Shikong in the Battle of Yanqi. Losing everything the Washington Gang Army had, he had no choice but to surrender to the Tong. Wei Zheng followed Li Mi in surrendering to the Tong Army. When Li Mi surrendered to the Tong, the Washington Gang leader Su Shiji was still resisting at Liyang. Wei Zheng volunteered to go to Liyang to persuade Su Shiji to surrender. As a representative of the Tong Army, Wei Zheng, in a letter to Su Shiji, analyzed the state of the world. He argued that Su Shiji was in a strategic location and should quickly join the rightful cause. If he continued to hold out, he would likely meet a tragic end. After receiving the letter, Su Shiji decided to surrender to the Tong. He later became a senior statesman of the Tong dynasty. If you think Wei Zheng's career soared from there, and that he rose to power easily, then you would be wrong. Not only did Wei Zheng not receive a promotion or reward for successfully persuading Su Shiji to surrender, he ended up becoming a prisoner again. Shortly after Su Shiji surrendered to the Tong, Dou Zhandi captured Liyang and took Wei Zheng and others prisoner. Dou Zhandi, seeing that Wei Zheng could write, appointed him as an assistant. Thus, Wei Zheng worked under Dou Zhandi for 2 years. But after Dou Zhandi was defeated by the Tong, Wei Zheng once again surrendered to the Tong. After hearing about Wei Zheng's talent, Crown Prince Li Jiancheng invited him to serve as his secretary, a position similar to today's private secretary. However, Li Jiancheng was not Wei Zheng's final master. A few years later, Wei Zheng would once again have to change masters. In 626 AD, Li Shimin launched the coup at Xuanwu Gate, killing his elder brother Li Jiancheng and younger brother Li Yuanji. At the time, Wei Zheng was serving in the Eastern Palace and had frequently advised Li Jiancheng to oppose Li Shimin. Li Shimin had Wei Zheng brought to him and asked, "Why did you try to sow discord between us brothers?" Wei Zheng candidly replied, "If the crown prince had listened to me, he wouldn't have met this fate today." Li Shimin, having long heard of Wei Zheng's reputation, was impressed by his blunt honesty, and instead of getting angry, he appointed him to an official position, making him one of his advisors. From that point on, Wei Zheng was finally put to great use. After Li Shimin ascended the throne, he appointed Wei Zheng as a senior advisor, responsible for reviewing and editing documents. Wei Zheng had a forthright personality and exceptional administrative ability. Li Shimin trusted him greatly. According to historical records, Wei Zheng's memorials numbered in the tens of thousands, covering military affairs, ethics, and legal systems, among many other fields. He was also the main editor of the Asterisk Book of Sui Asterisk in the Asterisk Li Shimin History and Governance, which had a profound impact on the Tong dynasty. So how did Wei Zheng advise Li Shimin? Li Shimin came from a noble family of officials and rose to power through military prowess. Many of the senior officials around him advocated for ruling through harsh punishment. But Wei Zheng firmly opposed this approach. The recent downfall of the Sui dynasty was a cautionary example. It must not be repeated. The nation should be governed with the kingly way of benevolence, educating the people. Li Shimin, having personally witnessed the sudden collapse of the Sui dynasty, deeply understood the saying, "Water can carry a boat, but it can also overturn it." As a result, he chose to adopt Wei Zheng's advice to govern the country with benevolence, while simultaneously purging corruption, encouraging recovery, and improving laws with more lenient punishments, laying a solid foundation for the prosperity of the Tang dynasty. It could be said that Wei Zheng was one of the architects of the reign of Zhenguan. Later generations saw Wei Zheng and Emperor Taizong as the model relationship between ruler and minister. Even Li Shimin himself once said, "No other minister today is as loyal and honest as Wei Zheng." In January of 643 AD, Wei Zheng passed away. At the age of 64, Li Shimin was deeply grieved. He ordered that Wei Zheng be posthumously awarded the highest rank of Grand Tutor and the title of Wenjian. He was buried alongside Emperor Taizong. Li Shimin mournfully said, "With bronze as a mirror, one can straighten one's attire. With history as a mirror, one can understand the rise and fall of dynasties. With one can see one's gains and losses. Now that Wei Zheng has passed away, I have lost a mirror." Perhaps Wei Zheng's death made Li Shimin nostalgic for the past and reflect on the fleeting passage of time. In April, the month of Wei Zheng's death, Li Shimin ordered the construction of the Lingyan Pavilion and commissioned the famous painter Yan Liben to paint portraits of the 24 founding meritorious officials. This group became known as the 24 meritorious officials. Wei Zheng ranked fourth among them. However, not long after, Crown Prince Li Chengqian was caught plotting rebellion. Li Shimin became suspicious that Wei Zheng had formed factions and ordered Wei Zheng's tombstone to be toppled. 2 years later, Li Shimin personally led a campaign against Gogor Yao. But due to insufficient supplies, he was unable to destroy Gogor Yao. On the return journey, Li Shimin once again remembered Wei Zheng, saying, "If Wei Zheng were still alive, I wouldn't have made such mistakes." He then ordered that a new tombstone be erected for Wei Zheng. It is said that outstanding horses are great judge of horses. Wei Zheng had immense talent, but served several masters without being fully utilized. In the end, he shone brightly after Li Shimin ascended the throne. Their relationship became a model of the ideal ruler and minister for later generations. He was trapped in the deep mountains, yet in times of crisis, he established the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. He was known for his licentiousness, with over 1,000 concubines. For 11 years, he never set foot outside the Heavenly King's palace. A life of excess and unfulfilled ambitions led to the sudden collapse of Hong Xiuquan's Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. In this video, let's delve into the life of the Heavenly King, Hong Xiuquan, in one go. Hong Xiuquan was a Hakka. Born in 1814 in Fuyuan Shui Village, Huaxian, Guangdong Province, to a family of farmers and scholars. At the age of 7, Hong Xiuquan began attending school in the village. He became well-versed in the asterisk for books and 5 classics asterisk and other ancient texts. At the age of 14, Hong Xiuquan ranked among the top in his first county-level examination in Huaxian. But when he took the provincial examination in Guangzhou, he failed. The following year, due to his family's financial difficulties, he had to balance agricultural labor with self-study. During this time, he read extensively, including Chinese history and strange books. At the age of 16, Hong Xiuquan was invited by a classmate to serve as a companion reader in a private school near the ancient Lintong Temple. Due to his considerable knowledge, he was hired as a village school teacher and began his career teaching in the countryside. The village elders all had high hopes for Hong Xiuquan, believing that one day he would pass the imperial exams and bring honor to his ancestors. His family name. But he failed the imperial exams in Guangzhou 3 times in a row. After his third failure in Guangzhou, at the age of 25, Hong Xiuquan was devastated. When he returned home, he fell seriously ill and was even in a coma for a time. During his illness, he had a vision where an old man told him that he had been sent by heaven and commanded him to descend to earth to vanquish demons and from evil spirits. On, Hong Xiuquan became increasingly withdrawn and spoke little. His behavior grew strange. In 1843, Hong Xiuquan failed the exams for the 4th time. His distant relative, Li Jingfeng, recommended that he read the asterisk good words to admonish the age asterisk. After reading it, Hong Xiuquan had a sudden realization that the vision he had 6 years earlier was confirmed in the teachings of this book. He then removed the tablets of Confucius from his ancestral hall and replaced them with tablets honoring God. Although he had never read the Bible, Hong Xiuquan began preaching his understanding of God to anyone he met. He called this the worship of God and declared himself the second son of God. Feng Yunshan and Hong Rengan from Tongshang were among Hong Xiuquan's first followers. A year later, Hong Xiuquan and Feng Yunshan traveled the country, spreading the true teachings of God, proclaiming that God is the one true God of all ages and lands. Everyone should worship God and not worship false gods, nor commit wicked deeds. They advocated that since all men and women were created by God, they were brothers and sisters and should strive for a united world and work together for the ideal of universal peace and harmony. After several years of development, by 1851, the conflict between the God worshippers and various opposing forces had escalated. Hong Xiuquan launched the Jinshan Uprising and declared himself the Heavenly King, establishing the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. He appointed commanders of the 5 armies. The Qing court immediately sent Imperial Commissioner Li Xingyuan to suppress the rebellion. Li Xingyuan led more than 10,000 Qing troops to besiege the Taiping forces, attempting to crush the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom movement, but was ultimately defeated by Hong Xiuquan. In 1853, Hong Xiuquan led the Taiping army to capture Wuchang. Afterward, along with Yang Shuking, he led a massive army by land and water, advancing eastward along the Yangtze River. Wherever they went along the river, there were neither troops nor ships to resist them through like a powerful storm. In the Liaoshuxia region of Hubei, the Taiping forces broke through the Qing army's defensive line along the river and captured Zhujiang. Shortly afterward, they seized Anqing. Just 2 months later, the Taiping forces captured Nanjing. They killed Lu Jianying, the Qing governor of Liangjiang, and the general of Jiangning. Afterward, they renamed Nanjing to Tianjin and made it the capital of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. They also implemented the Heavenly Kingdom's Iron Law. Next, they divided their forces and launched an capturing Zhanjiang and then Yangzhou. From this point, the Taiping Revolution entered a new phase, pushing its victory across the entire nation. In the following 10 years, the Taiping forces would continue their western and northern expeditions, engulfing much of China in flames of war. In 1856, the Taiping army broke through the Qing army's southern Jiangnan camp, lifting the 3-year siege on Tianjin. Seeing that the situation for the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom was extremely favorable, Eastern King Yang had other ambitions. Using the pretext of receiving a divine mandate, he pressured the Heavenly King, proclaimed himself Wansui, the Eternal One. Tensions between Hong Xiuquan and Yang Shuking began to deepen. Meanwhile, Northern King Wei Changhui was dissatisfied with Yang Shuking's control over state affairs and outwardly showed obedience, but secretly harbored murderous intent. Hong Xiuquan knew that Northern King Wei Changhui, as well as Wing King Shi Dakai and Yan King Qin Rigging, were all discontent with the Eastern Wei Changhui to lead an army back to Tianjin to assassinate Yang Shuking. This event became known in history as the Tianjin Incident. When Shi Dakai arrived in Tianjin, he condemned Wei Changhui for slaughtering the innocent. The two parted on bad terms. Wei Changhui then took things further by killing Shi Dakai's family. When Shi Dakai heard this, he immediately raised an army in Anqing to denounce Wei Changhui. Under pressure from widespread outrage, Hong Xiuquan had no choice but to order the execution of Wei Changhui. He also returned Shi Dakai's family to him. From that point on, Shi Dakai began to take charge of the government. But soon enough, Hong Xiuquan began to grow wary of Shi Dakai. So Hong Xiuquan appointed his own brothers, Hong Renfa and Hong Renda, as kings, in an attempt to counterbalance Shi Dakai's power. This caused dissatisfaction in Shi Dakai. Thus, Shi Dakai led his army away in anger. He broke away from the command of the Heavenly King after the Tianjin Incident and Yi Wang's departure. Although Hong Xiuquan held supreme power in the government, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom began to decline. In 1859, Hong Xiuquan appointed Hong Rengan as military advisor Ganwang, making him the prime minister of the Taiping government. Hong Rengan was made a king without military merit, Hong Xiuquan feared that others would not accept it. To dilute the power of the various kings, Hong Xiuquan once again appointed unrelated kings. In 1861, British Admiral Hope and Consul Harry Parkes came to Tianjin, proposing to Hong Xiuquan that after victory, they would divide China as a reward if the British helped the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom defeat the Qing government. Hong Xiuquan firmly rejected the British proposal. He made it clear and firm that he would defend the integrity of the national territory and sovereignty. Unable to gain any benefit from the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, the British turned to support the Qing government. A year later, Zhang Guoquan's Xiong army again surrounded Nanjing, cutting it off. The situation deteriorated rapidly. The strongholds around Tianjin fell one by one. In his later years, Hong Xiuquan became conservative. He fell into religious superstition. Li Xucheng realized that Tianjin could not be held for long. He advised Hong Xiuquan to abandon Tianjin and move the battle to the central plains. But Hong Xiuquan refused. In the face of adversity, Hong Xiuquan did not adopt appropriate countermeasures. Instead, he declared to his soldiers that heavenly soldiers would descend to drive away the Qing forces. Soon, all the bases of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom in Suzhou were captured by the Xiong and Huai armies. Even the area outside Nanjing City fell into enemy hands. By this time, Hong Xiuquan was gravely ill. He refused Li Xucheng's suggestion to abandon the city and escape. He hoped that God would bestow a miracle upon the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom and defeat the Qing forces. But as the situation in Tianjin grew increasingly desperate, Hong Xiuquan's hopes for a miracle were shattered. In 1864, Hong Xiuquan passed away at the age of 51. 1 month later, Tianjin fell. The Taiping Heavenly Kingdom came to an end.